This is the moment a pager carried by a Hezbollah member exploded in Beirut. It was one of thousands of similar incidents that took place across Lebanon, killing at least 12 people and injuring almost 2,800 others, according to health officials. Hezbollah and the Lebanese government almost immediately blamed Israel for the attack. The Israeli military has declined to comment. Here's what we know about the pager attacks. Hezbollah said a number of pagers carried by its members exploded simultaneously at 3:30 p.m. local time. Many of the affected pagers were from a new shipment that the group had received in recent days, according to people familiar with the matter.
This attack is an unprecedented breach of Hezbollah's internal security. But this attack really sort of exposes vulnerabilities in the organization in a way that makes it clear to also ordinary members of Hezbollah, which we should remember is an organization of tens of thousands of people, that if they are affiliated with the organization in any way, they could also be a target. And I think that must be a huge blow to the morale inside the organization and really make regular members of Hezbollah kind of question their leadership's ability to keep them safe.
It couldn't immediately be determined what caused the blasts, but Hezbollah said some members felt the pagers heat up.
While this is an incredibly effective example of psychological warfare, people were also killed in this attack. And I think that shows that while these pagers presumably were mostly in the hands of Hezbollah members, with an operation of this scale, you can't guarantee that civilians were not in possession or in close proximity to a pager that exploded.
In February, the group's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, urged its fighters to get rid of their smartphones.
I think a lot of fighters then were handed these pagers in order to be contacted by the leadership while not being tracked or their communications being intercepted in the same way that a phone, for example, could.
The incident comes as Israel's government is under pressure to stop rocket and drone attacks by Hezbollah along the country's northern border. This would allow tens of thousands of displaced Israelis to return to their homes.
In Lebanon, this has caused mass displacement of tens of thousands of people from a relatively narrow belt on the border. And in Israel, the government has evacuated tens of thousands of people from an area in northern Israel. So there's pressure from the Israeli population as well on the government to solve this issue on the border so they can move back to their homes.
A day before the explosions, Israel's defense minister said dimming prospects for diplomacy meant that military action was the only alternative. Tensions have been growing along Israel's border with Lebanon. Hezbollah began firing rockets into Israel soon after the Hamas-led October 7th attacks that set off the war in Gaza. Both sides have exchanged daily fire since. And Israel has conducted a number of high-profile intelligence operations against Hezbollah.
Most notably, there was an assassination of a senior Hezbollah commander over the summer in Beirut in his house, which we reported at the time was caused by Hezbollah's internal communication system being breached.
Senior US diplomats warned Israeli leaders to avoid further escalations. Hezbollah issued a statement saying Israel would get its fair punishment for the attack. The group has said its forces were at the highest level of readiness due to what it called threatening speeches and comments from Israel.
This attack now, both because of its brazenness but also because of the number of casualties, carries a real risk of bringing back an escalation in the conflict and reigniting this conflict that several times has threatened to spill over into a regional war.